it's basically over. I don't have to worry about that anymore, but I don't want to be getting technicals at all. So, and my mom doesn't want that for me either, and I don't want to pay any more fines. So, I'm done with that.
The last one.
Caitlin Clark isn't just another rookie. She's quickly becoming the heartbeat of the WNBA. Her fearless defense of teammate Lexie Hull didn't just ignite a game, it ignited an entire fan base. The moment she stood up and unleashed that fiery reaction, fans saw more than a basketball player. They saw a leader rewriting the rules of stardom. But behind that viral moment lies a much darker story, one that exposes the brutal reality of what the Indiana Fever have been forced to endure this season. Injuries, questionable officiating, and a system that seems stacked against them have left this team fighting uphill every single night. And if you think you know what happened, stay with me, because what unfolds will change how you look at the WNBA forever. Before we dive in, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. You don't want to miss the expert breakdowns, inside details, and game-shifting truths we're about to uncover. When you think about basketball, you think about competition. Two teams going head-to-head with strategy, skill, and endurance. But for the Indiana Fever, this season hasn't felt like a fair competition at all. It's felt like survival. Every time they step onto the floor, they're not just facing an opponent, they're walking into a battlefield where the odds are stacked against them before the ball even tips. Let's talk about the brutal truth. Injuries have dismantled this roster piece by piece. Caitlin Clark, the face of the franchise and one of the league's most marketable stars, sidelined with a groin injury that kept her out for over a month. Sophie Cunningham, gone for the season with a devastating MCL tear. Sydney Colson, ACL injury. Ari McDonald, fractured foot. And right before another crucial game, Chloe Bibby was ruled out with a knee issue. That's not a bad week. That's 5 core players stripped away, leaving the roster as thin as paper. The Fever weren't just short-handed, they were practically playing with emergency patches. Odyssey Sims, who came in on a hardship contract, wasn't just a backup. She was the backup to the backup, and even she was far from 100%. Battling her own injuries, Sims had no business being on the floor, but with the bench emptied out, she had no choice but to lace up and drag herself through games. This is where context matters. Injuries happen in every league, yes, but not like this. What Indiana has endured isn't just unlucky, it's systemic. They've been forced into a constant cycle of signing players on the fly, throwing them straight into heavy minutes without time to build chemistry. Imagine meeting your teammates in the locker room for the first time, then being told, hey, you're in the rotation tonight. That's not professional basketball, that's desperation. And when desperation becomes routine, it affects everything. Lexie Hull and Kelsey Mitchell, 2 players already carrying heavy loads, have been forced to shoulder responsibilities no 2 athletes should bear alone. Against Minnesota, Hull played 37 grueling minutes, scoring 23 points just to keep the game close. Mitchell fought through double teams, dropped 26, and still had to play nearly the entire game. Every possession was a mountain to climb because every substitution meant bringing in someone who hadn't even learned the full playbook yet. The physical toll has been staggering. You can see it on the players' faces. The fatigue, the frustration, the exhaustion of being asked to do too much with too little. Yet somehow they've kept fighting, and that resilience is exactly what makes this story so gripping. Because here's the twist, despite being battered, bruised, and stretched beyond their limits, this team refuses to fold. Instead, they lean on grit, on unlikely heroes, and on the sheer willpower of athletes who know they're playing against more than just their opponent. But while the injuries alone would be enough to derail any season, what comes next makes the situation far darker. Because when you're already playing short-handed, the very least you expect is fairness from the officials. And yet, for Indiana, even that seems like a luxury they're denied. The referees, the people tasked with protecting players and enforcing the rules, have become another obstacle, one that fans and players alike believe has tilted the game against them. And when we break down what happened in their most controversial matchup, you'll see why so many are calling foul not just on opponents, but on the system itself. Stay with me because what happens next will force you to rethink whether the Indiana Fever are competing in basketball or surviving something much bigger. Now, let's get into the breaking point, the night the referees took center stage. Because if you thought Indiana's injury crisis was their biggest problem, what unfolded on the court proved otherwise. Picture this, Lexie Hull, already carrying the weight of an injured roster, steps up on defense against Kayla McBride. A tough matchup, but nothing unusual, until McBride swings her arm through and her elbow connects squarely with Hull's face. The contact was so violent that Hull immediately dropped, clutching her jaw. Everyone in the arena froze. This was the kind of play that by rule screams flagrant foul, dangerous, unnecessary direct contact to the head. And yet, the whistle blew the other way. Unbelievably, the officials didn't call it on McBride. They pinned it on Hull, the very player who just took an elbow to the face. The crowd gasped. Commentators replayed the footage in disbelief. Even the Fever bench sat stunned, waiting for the review process to clean it up. Surely the evidence would speak for itself. But the review only deepened the controversy. Slow motion made it clearer than ever. McBride's swing was reckless, dangerous, and landed directly on Hull. And still, the referees refused to hand down the full punishment. Instead of holding McBride accountable, they slightly adjusted the call, but stopped short of what everyone expected. It felt like protecting appearances, not enforcing fairness. This is where the frustration boiled over. Hull was left hurting, Indiana lost momentum, and Minnesota gained energy off a call that should have gone the other way. It wasn't just a mistake, it changed the rhythm of the game. It sent a message, and that's why so many Fever fans believe it wasn't an accident at all. Because let's be honest, bad calls happen. That's part of sports. But when they happen again and again, always against the same team, fans start asking tougher questions. Was this incompetence, or was it bias? Social media erupted. Clips of the elbow went viral within minutes. Analysts, fans, even rival supporters couldn't hide their disbelief. And this isn't an isolated case. The Fever have been at the center of a pattern. Hits to the face, hard fouls under the rim, players staggering after contact, and the whistle staying silent. Meanwhile, on the other end, the smallest bump draws a foul against Indiana. Head coach Stephanie White, normally measured in her words, couldn't ignore it anymore. After the game, she hinted at what everyone was seeing. Her team was not being officiated on the same scale as their opponents. That is damning. When a head coach goes public with criticism, it's not about one call, it's about a system that feels tilted. And the bigger question is this: why does it keep happening to Indiana? Some argue it's about inexperience. With so many young players and hardship signings, refs might unconsciously give less respect to a roster missing its stars. Others believe the league wants to avoid whistle-heavy games, so physical teams like Minnesota benefit from refs letting things slide. But for Indiana, that lack of protection is devastating. Already playing shorthanded, every uncalled foul is another risk of injury, another player potentially lost. The Lexie Hull elbow was just the flashpoint. What followed was a ripple effect that tore through the team. Hull had to fight through pain, Mitchell had to take on even more of the load, and the Fever were left climbing uphill against both the Lynx and the officials. That is not a fair contest. And yet, here's the part that makes this story so gripping. Indiana still refused to break. Even after that call, even after the momentum swung away, they fought back. Kelsey Mitchell continued to drive fearlessly into traffic, scoring 26 and keeping the game within reach. Aaliyah Boston anchored the defense, battling double teams, absorbing hits, and refusing to back down. And then came the unlikely spark, Shea Petty, the hardship signing, playing like she had been part of the Fever for years. She chipped in 16 points, giving Indiana just enough of a boost to keep the scoreboard respectable. That resilience is what defines this team. They don't fold, even when the system feels rigged against them. But here's the truth, fans can't escape. Resilience only takes you so far. Basketball is supposed to be tough, yes, but it's not supposed to be unjust. And the injustice of that night left scars deeper than the final score. Because if referees aren't neutral, if the integrity of the game itself is in question, then what exactly are the Fever playing against? Their opponent, the officials, or something even bigger within the league? Those are the questions no one in the WNBA wants to answer, but fans are demanding it, and the Fever, battered yet unbroken, have become the symbol of that fight. We've talked about the injuries, we've talked about the officiating, but now let's talk about the spark, the one player who could flip this entire story on its head. Caitlin Clark. When Lexie Hull went down from that elbow and the referees called it against Indiana, Clark wasn't silent. She didn't play the role of the polite rookie keeping her head down. She exploded, arms in the air, shouting at officials, face full of fire. And in that moment, Clark crossed the line. She wasn't just another player, she was the voice of the team. That's what makes her different. That's why fans don't just watch her, they believe in her. Clark embodies what the Fever have been missing. Someone willing to stare down the injustice and call it out in real time. That raw emotion, that refusal to back down is why fans are already calling her not just a star, but a rock star. And here's the kicker. It's not just about personality. On the court, Clark transforms everything. Without her, Indiana's offense looks scattered, inconsistent, predictable. Kelsey Mitchell can score in bursts. Boston can dominate the paint, but nobody orchestrates the floor like Clark. She bends defenses, stretches the floor, and turns chaos into rhythm. Every possession feels different when she's running the show. That's why her return isn't just a storyline, it's the storyline. Cameras recently caught Clark jogging through drills before a Fever game. No uniform, not yet, but seeing her move with the team again sent waves through the fan base. Clips of her warm-up routine went viral instantly. Fans zooming in on her footwork, her acceleration, analyzing every detail like it was game film. Was she limping? Was her speed back? Was this a sign she'd return sooner than expected? The truth is, Indiana needs her back desperately. The standings don't lie. They're clinging to 8th place with Los Angeles breathing down their necks. Every game is a must-win. Every slip could cost them the postseason. And the schedule ahead isn't forgiving. Seattle, Chicago, Las Vegas. These are heavyweight matchups where every possession counts. And here's where it gets fascinating. Indiana isn't just fighting for wins. They're fighting for their identity. With Clark, they're a playoff contender. Without her, they look like a team patching together lineups just to survive the night. And in the WNBA, that difference matters. So when Clark finally steps back onto the court, the question isn't just whether she'll score points. It's whether she'll rewrite the trajectory of the entire franchise. Can she take a battered roster under the weight of injuries and questionable officiating and lead them into the postseason? That's the legacy she's building right now, in real time. And the stakes go beyond basketball, because make no mistake, Clark isn't just an athlete, she's a marketing machine, a generational star, and the face of the Fever's future. The league knows it, the fans know it, and every opponent knows it. When she plays, arenas sell out, TV ratings spike, and social media explodes. That's why every update about her comeback becomes headline news. But with that spotlight comes pressure, and this is where things get complicated, because if referees really are inconsistent or worse, biased, how will they handle Clark's presence? Will she get superstar whistles, or will she face even tougher scrutiny for daring to call out officials? That's the unknown. Here's what we do know. Clark has the fire. She's already shown she'll defend her teammates, she'll call out injustice, and she'll play with a chip on her shoulder. Combine that with her unmatched talent, and Indiana suddenly goes from survivor to threat. The Fever's season now hangs on one question. Will Caitlin Clark's return come in time? If she steps back into the lineup soon, Indiana has a shot to not only secure the playoffs, but maybe pull off an upset that shakes the league. If not, this season may be remembered more for frustration and what-ifs than triumphs. And that's why this story is so compelling, because it's not just about wins and losses. It's about loyalty, resilience, and rewriting the rules of stardom in real time. Clark isn't just playing basketball, she's fighting for her team, for fairness, and for a legacy that could define the WNBA for years to come. So buckle up, because this isn't over. The injuries, the officiating controversies, the comebacks, it's all leading to one moment: Caitlin Clark's return. And when she does, the question isn't if she'll make noise, it's how loud it will echo across the league. And you do not want to miss that. The Indiana Fever are standing at a crossroads. On one side, injuries, controversy, and the weight of expectation. On the other, the promise of a generational talent in Caitlin Clark and the wisdom of a legend in Larry Bird. This isn't just another coaching change. It isn't just another rookie season. This is the story of a franchise daring to dream bigger. A team willing to gamble everything on the chemistry between fire and experience, youth and legacy, boldness and brilliance. The Fever's journey from here on out will not be easy. Every possession, every whistle, every moment counts. But one thing is undeniable. Whether they rise to glory or stumble under the pressure, the world will be watching, because Caitlin Clark has already proven she's not here to follow history. She's here to rewrite it. So the question remains, can Larry Bird and Caitlin Clark lead Indiana into a new era of dominance? Or will this bold move become one of the biggest what-ifs in basketball history? What do you think? Let us know in the comments. We read every single one. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because trust me, the story of Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever is only just beginning, and you don't want to miss what comes next.